Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Mary Rose and today I'm going to be talking about Field Notes on Love by Jennifer E. Smith. Field Notes on Love follows Hugo, who's just been dumped by his ex-girlfriend, and May, who's just been rejected from USC's film school. Hugo's ex planned a cross-country train trip in the US, but the tickets are under her name, not his. So if he wants to go at all, he's going to need another Margaret Campbell. May's full name is Margaret Campbell. So these two virtual strangers have to survive a cross-country train trip with one another, but they quickly start falling for each other. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know why this was, but I didn't think that I liked books that were just really, really romantic and fluffy, like this book is. But I picked this up from my local library one day and I read it and I enjoyed it, but I kind of forgot about it afterwards. Until at least a year later when I saw it at Barnes & Noble and I remembered how much I enjoyed reading it, and so I decided to buy it. Like I said, this book is really sweet and fluffy, but it's also weirdly introspective and asks a lot of bigger questions, and the two concepts go really well together in my opinion. It's a book full of emotional impact that you honestly don't see coming. And I honestly can't believe that I forgot about it in the first place, because after reading it and then rereading it for this video, I absolutely fell in love with all that the author manages to do in this book. So I'm going to start by talking about the little things that I really enjoyed about this book and then move on to the bigger things. The first little thing is that this book made me want to go on a road trip so bad. I love road trips and I haven't been on one in a while. Not a good one where I'm in the car for like at least 6 hours. I don't know why, there's just something about the feeling of being in the car and knowing you're gonna be there for a while I just enjoy it. I don't know how to explain it. But this book is just one giant road trip. It's a train, which I've never been on a train and now I really want to go on one. But that's what this book is. It's just one long road trip with different stops, obviously, but it manages to capture that feeling of just like you are going somewhere and it's almost like a liminal space type of feeling, but in a good way, I guess. I don't know if a liminal space feeling is really good or bad, but this is definitely good. And it just made me appreciate that feeling all the more. So right off the bat, we learn that Hugo is one of 6 identical siblings. He is a sextuplet, and this presents a unique set of circumstances. For one, he's got this guaranteed scholarship to a university driving distance from his house, and while it's great that he has this scholarship, he's basically guaranteed a spot at this school. He doesn't want it because he feels so constricted by the idea that he has to be a part of the set, because his whole life his mom has sort of run a little like blog about the 6 of them, and I believe there's also been at least 1 or 2 books, and so it kind of creates this pressure to be part of the group, like be part of the set. And it's something that he sort of wrestles with throughout the entire book, whether it's college and the scholarship and the inevitability of still being part of that set, or during the trip they stopped through a couple of different cities, and in these cities Hugo is by himself. He's with May, but he's by himself in that he doesn't have any of his siblings around, and it's a very strange feeling for him because he's almost always never been alone before this. And so it's that kind of give and take. There's no real good middle ground. He's either suffocated by the feeling, the need to be part of this set, or the loneliness that comes with being by himself when he's just not used to it. Throughout Hugo's perspective in the book, it splits up into May's perspective and Hugo's perspective. Throughout his chapters of the book, you get to see sort of his attempt to reconcile his love for his siblings with his want to be an individual and sort of stand on his own 2 feet rather than be part of a 6-pack. So like I said, this book is told from 2 different perspectives, that of Hugo and that of May. And I think it's a really interesting and also very smart move on the author's part, because they are polar opposites in terms of their personalities. May is very self-confident and headstrong. She knows what she wants and she knows how to get it, or so she thinks. Whereas Hugo is definitely more hesitant because he doesn't really know what he wants. He's spent his entire life being told what he wants, and once he figures out what he actually wants for himself, he's not sure if he should go for it because of how it will impact the people around him. In the end, Hugo is able to go for what he wants because May convinced him that it was the right thing to do. And May is able to get an entire new film out of the trip because Hugo helped her along the way. And despite the fact that they are so different, they really do care for each other, and it's really beautiful to see how their relationship sort of blossoms, even though they're only on this train for about a week, I think. They leave such an impact on each other by the time their trip is over, and it's honestly kind of magical. So part of the reason that May even agrees to go on this trip with Hugo in the first place is because she was rejected from film school. She was told that her film wasn't personal enough, and this puts her in kind of a slump because she can't quite figure out what that means. And while they're on this trip, she manages to interview passengers and employees and pretty much anybody that will sit down and talk to her for a minute. Each time, May asks them the same handful of questions, one of which is about what love means to them. And because these people come from all different walks of life, they have all kinds of different experiences, they each are able to give a different answer to this question in particular, that's informed by their experiences. And this is what makes the film that May will make out of these interviews so personal, because all of these people are just answering honestly about what they think love means and what it is to them, which is one of the most hard to answer questions because it's such a strange concept to sort of have a grasp of what does love mean. And through these interviews and putting this film together, May gets to decide what love is to her, and that in the end is what makes it so incredibly personal to her. I really enjoy that through both of the character perspectives we get to see May and Hugo's families, and it's very clear that Hugo's family has had a huge impact on his sort of hesitancy to do anything that is outside of the little box that he's supposed to fit in order to be a part of the 6-pack of his siblings, whereas May's family is so different. In particular, her grandmother, she's very close with her grandmother, and she's the one that pushes May to go on the trip, even though it means lying to her parents about what exactly she's doing and taking a really big risk, because this could all blow up in her face. It could end very badly, but it could also end very well. May's grandmother is also very much a romantic, which is part of the reason why she pushes May to go on this train trip with this random boy she's never met, because yeah, you could end up parting ways as friends, kind of, or you could fall in love with him, and it could be one of the most amazing experiences you've ever had in your life. And she's very much a driving force in May's life, and I personally think that's part of where May gets her confidence from, because her grandma so fully believes in her and her abilities, and if someone believes in you like that, it's hard to doubt yourself. So those were my thoughts on Field Notes on Love by Jennifer E. Smith. This is such a great book if you want to just be swept away into a story for an afternoon. It's not the type of book that has an urgency to it that once you pick it up you can't put it back down. But it's definitely easy to read it all in one sitting and not even realize that that's what you've done. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a little thumbs up. If you missed my last video, I will put a link to it in the description box below. and I will also try to link to it on the screen at the end here. I only have 2 videos up right now after I post this, but if you want to subscribe to my channel so you see all of the stuff that I will eventually post, that button is also down there. And thank you again for sticking around to the end of the video.